Hello, 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 hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining me from. It's 7 p.m. in my neck of the woods, and it's time to connect. All right, so it's great to see everybody joining us today, wherever it is you're joining us from. So we're streaming live on two platforms today, not three, two platforms today. Facebook, and of course, YouTube. So Facebook, YouTube. So wherever you are right now, get on this, share the link to your community, to your tribe, to everybody that you want to see do well in life. Absolutely. So it's our first episode in the month of June. It's great to see everybody here in the month of June. We had an amazing time running through the month of May. And a big shout out to everybody who was participating with us, who joined us all through the sessions in the month of May, where we're talking about value and impact and scaling value and multiplying value. And the feedback has been nothing short of amazing, amazing, simply amazing. So I had a great time, a superlative great time on that session. So just give me a minute whilst I'm still talking to you. I want to be able to share. I want to be able to share the live stream right now. So let me share the Facebook link first of all. Right. Let me share the Facebook link first of all to different communities I'm a part of, and then okay. So we're getting that. And you should be doing that too. So for everybody who is with us on Facebook right now, you should be sharing as well. Get everybody, all right? Get everybody to jump in. Get everybody to be a part of it. Get everybody to, simply just be a part of what's going on. It's going to be an amazing, amazing session today. All right. So just give me a few minutes. I want to be able to share. Um, I want to be able to share. So I'm sharing the Facebook right now. All right, awesome, awesome. So we have people joining in. So wherever you're joining in from, let me know. For those on Facebook, let Team Blue tell me Facebook, we're here. For those in Team Red, YouTube, go ahead, go ahead. Let me know that you're there. I promise you that this is a very loaded month, and I'm having a super great time reaching out and connecting with you. All right. So let's hear from you. Wherever you are, drop a comment in the comment section of whatever platform that you're on. Let me know where you're joining this live stream from. So much. The month of leadership. We're having the leadership conversations in this month of June, and we're reimagining leadership. Somebody say reimagining leadership. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we're sharing. Share the link right now. For each person, get 5 people to join you. All right. Share the link. We have just about a minute to go before we get into it. Just about a minute to go before we get into it. So share the link, share the link, share the link, share the link. All right, all right, all right, all right. Guys, this promises to be super, super, super amazing. Super amazing. Because, and I'll tell you why. I think one of the most researched topics, right, that you could ever have, one of the most researched topics you could ever have in the history of humanity, trust me, is leadership. Try googling leadership. Try reading up on leadership. It's almost inexhaustible. So how can something that is almost inexhaustible serve as something that is critical and needed for your every existence? Because look, the fulfillment of destiny, right, is not just a function of where you're going to, it's a function of addition of how you get there, which involves your everyday, your every scenario, every situation, and all of that. So conversation. Somebody was asking someone else one time, how do you know a leader? Who's a leader? All right. And someone humorously answered, a leader is someone that leads. A leader is someone that leads. Seems like a really smart answer. And trust me, there's really nothing wrong with that answer. But the question is, yes, if a leader is someone that leads, yes. The question is, what does leading look like? And what does leading feel like? And so, over the next 4 Sundays of the month of June, we're going to be looking at leadership via multi-focus, multi-lens, and a multi-perspective. We're going to be seeking to understand leadership across different terrains. We're going to be seeking to understand leadership as you've never understood it before. We're going to be bringing it to you in the ways where you, because listen, I'm not interested in what you know. I'm interested in what you understand, because it's what you understand that you can use to lead, use to innovate, use to connect, use to carry along, use to influence, and use to impact. All right. But guess what? I've got a guest in the house today. I've got a guest in the house today. Somebody that I consider really special. So I've known this gentleman for quite a while, a few years now. And it's something that's really dear to my heart. A true, in this era of mentor mentee, he's a true son, and it's someone I have very, very high regards for. Somebody every time we get together, which is not very often because our schedules, but we stay connected, right? Every time we get together, the conversation is, and everybody who's there whenever we're conversing, conversations are deep, conversations are tough, are tight, because iron sharpened iron. Now, if you follow me, then you have had access to his profile. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time reading his profile. In the course of the time that we have today, you're going to be getting to know him a little bit more, even as we talk about the subject matter for the day. But I'm getting ready to bring him into the studio. I'm just going to do a check to be sure that he's with me and he's ready, and I can see that he is. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Rwanda, Eastern Africa, my I call him my brother. He's someone that I'm immensely proud of, and I'm bringing him to the studio right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I want your virtual hands. I want to see it in the comment section. I want you to see receipt. I want all those comments coming up before I bring him up. If I don't say it, I'm not bringing him up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Udah. All right. Hey, amazing Super Paul.
So good to be here, sir. Thank you so much for the invitation. So good to be here.
Hey, like I will always say to you, the thanks is mine to give. Right? You say thank you to me. I say no. The thanks is actually mine to give. The thanks is mine to give. And I want to see those comments. I want to see those comments. Everybody welcoming Paul.
I think I want to mention something. I think I want to mention
Right.
something again.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was 18th of June 2020. That was the first time I
Yeah.
was ever present
Yes.
on Connect.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's good to be here again. Another June.
No, no, no. But you see, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Paul. You beat me to it, because I was actually going to mention that it was just when you were settled in. I was going to tell you that. Do you remember that the first time I hosted you was in the month of June, but in the year
Absolutely.
2020? All right, that's something else I was going to talk about. So we're seeing the
Mhm.
comments coming in. All right, all right. So I want to see everybody just, I want to see everybody give a holler to Paul. And by the way, a couple of days ago was Paul's birthday. All
Yeah.
right, it was Paul's birthday, Paul and his brother's birthday, and so can we all just, everyone here, can we just wish him a massive happy birthday,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday to Paul, and like I said to you, Paul, and I'll say, I said it to you privately, and I'm going to say it to you publicly. I pray for you. I pray that the hand of God will be upon you. I
Amen.
pray that your accomplishments of time past will pale in comparison to what's to come. That
Amen.
everything that you have been through will be like child's play to what you're going to. And that right now, as you've kept the faith, as you've maintained the
Mhm.
discipline, as you've built up yourself, as you've run the course, as you've stayed the course, I pray that that gives you speed, that gives you clarity, will also deliver alignment to you, so that at no point in turn will you veer off the call, the course, the assignment, that you have. So one more time, everybody does wish Paul a happy birthday. In fact, I give you the auspices of the next 2 minutes to just love on Paul Udah today. He's such an amazing guy. He's such a
Thank you so
phenomenal.
much. Yes, thank you
He's
so
such
much.
he's such a phenomenal guy. And to your twin, I see Jennifer Bassi. Amazing. That's my leader too. It's great to see you, Jennifer. Awesome, 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 awesome. I'm seeing all the comments. I'm seeing all the comments. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. All right, so we're truly, really loving on Paul here, and it's just fantastic. It's just fantastic. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. Paul, wow. So I'm just coming out of an amazing conference and thank you so much for your support for the AU Value Exchange Program. Paul, your support was immense. For we saw a number of people from your region that joined in the live stream. We hit record numbers. For those of you that missed out on it, you can also just go back to my YouTube page or Facebook page, preferably YouTube for you, easier to access. And just what we had, Paul. Do you know that we had the value exchange program for 5 hours 47 minutes,
Wow.
and people were not done.
That's right.
People were not done. People were not done. I said people were literally like, no, it's not 5 hours 47 minutes. I
Mm,
literally had to shut it down.
that's right.
Four speakers, one assignment.
That's
Four
right.
speakers, one assignment. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. And that's what birthed my thoughts for this this month's conversation. So the idea behind this month's conversation is we're talking on leadership, and leadership is amazing. Leadership is the most researched topic in the world.
Absolutely.
Leadership is what shows you that when you think you have it, leadership teaches you that there's so much more that you have to learn about it than you know about it. Leadership truly humbles you. The quest to understand leadership, I don't know about you, but I'll say this, the quest to understand leadership truly humbles you. So anytime I see anybody who is haughty, who is proud, reeking of pride, and I say, no, you don't understand leadership. Anytime I see anybody blowing hot over situational position, I say, no, you don't understand leadership. So we're going to be having a month-long conversation, and I'm excited to have you as my first guest in this series this month. So everybody, please put your hands together for Paul. All right. So we're gonna get the conversation on the way. I'm pretty excited today. It's not all the time. And disclosure, I've been trying to pin Paul down for this for months. It sometimes just doesn't work. He has meetings in school on Sunday. And when he was in Nigeria, Pastor Dara had him do some assignment. I'm like, okay, okay. But you're here now. You're here now. You're here now.
Absolutely.
Oh, let's talk. Let's talk. It's been a journey for you, and let me have you open up this way. What has your journey been like? So we're gonna do the usual suspects, and then we get to the more punchy, spicy stuff. But then,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
we have the mixed audience and the mixed crowd, I want some know you, some don't know you. What has your journey been like? Who's Paul? Who's
Hmm.
Paul Udah? Who's Paul Udah to AU? And how has the journey been for you? Talk to me. Take your
Uh,
time today.
Thank you so much again for the opportunity to be here. I'm going to be very, very simple. I do not think that, with regards to the African continent now, my scope has expanded a lot more across the African continent. And so almost everything that I do now is done with the perspective of how Africa can evolve, Africa can become better. And
Mm,
so, those of you who are here, thank you for being here. I must also say that for these conversations tonight to be of great impact to you, don't look for ambiguity. Don't look for what they call that now. Don't look for things that you think are too. I will come in a very very simple way, just so that you are able to understand. Sometimes I believe Africa loses its essence when it gets in that web of ambiguity, complexity. And so sometimes it's easy to just make it and just ensure that it is simple as much as it's supposed to be. So for tonight, if I'm going to be introducing myself, I'm going to be introducing myself and my journey to be a single word transformation. For some
Mm,
of you who want to find something else better, it would be transformative. That's
mm,
one word that has defined Paul. That's one. I'm someone. If you are asking me, I'm someone who has learned to accept, to live in the moment of transformation. I'm somebody who is transformatively driven. I love transformation. Why do I say so? Many years back, there are lots of issues that I was going through. Many years back, my nuisance level was at its peak, right? And so you would see that far back as 2016, 2017, I think specifically 2018, when we made the phenomenal AU, you would begin to count the years again to who we currently have become. We owe that testimony to a lot of transformation, which I believe must be centric on your mind for joining this session tonight, which I believe must be the focus of Africa. Africa must begin to look from the perspective. If we are defining Africa in these days and in the next 5 years to come, it should be that Africa is transformative. If I'm defining myself in the next 5 years, it will be that I am simply a young man who is driven, transformatively driven, if you must say. So
mm.
that's just why I'm a leadership lover. I love people, but I am in deep love with transformation. Yeah. Nothing
Yeah,
changes until somebody transforms. Yeah, that's what I
you
must
know,
say.
because there has to be a reason for transformation.
Absolutely.
Because the way that I say it, Paul, I sincerely believe that there are certain things we can't get done unless it's at the level of being transformed. And I
Mm,
think that's the major driver for seeking to, you know, get spaces transformed, seeking to bring people, galvanize people together, to bring
mm,
into concerts their hearts, their head, and their hands, to be able to deliver on certain things. But those things will happen at the level of transformation. And
okay.
if you ask me, I think that opens the door for the rest of the conversation today, right? Now, I heard everything that you said, and also heard you trying to say that you're going to keep it simple. Let me serve you a warning. Over the over the next few minutes, we're ripping off the band-aid. Uh,
Absolutely.
the idea is to reimagine, and reimagine comes with levels of disruption. Uh,
Mm,
Reimagining comes with levels of re-engineering. Reimagining comes with a level of certain positive upheavals.
mm.
So let's, as they say, let's be guided. All right, let's be guided in that regard. All right. So let's talk about transformation.
Mm.
Now, um, you're currently based in Rwanda. By the way, guys, just in case you don't know, Paul is the first Nigerian. I mean, every time I read that online or in some dossier somewhere on some platform somewhere, I knew him before all of this, man. I'm super proud of him. Like I knew him before all of this. I knew him before all of this, right? So Paul is and Paul, I need to correct me, the first Nigerian student union president. Is that is
President,
that
yes.
is that what it is?
Absolutely.
Of the
Absolutely.
African Leadership University. So obviously, from what Paul has said, you can gather that he's more African centric, and Paul has always been a big player in the space of thoughts, in the space of ways beyond himself. What has the ALU done for you as a platform? How has it shaped your thinking? And I
Mm,
say this because, first of all, being resident in Rwanda, one, two, having to interact, that's two, three, having to serve as representative of people from diverse perspectives, different parts of the world, a fusion of different cultures, different ideologies. What has that experience been like in your leadership journey, Paul?
let me open this way. That there are, for me, there are about three. components that are responsible for the complete transformation or the upscaling of an individual.
Mm.
For me, number one would be the depth in content.
All right. So
Something
say that
beyond
again. Say that again. The depth and
the
content.
depth in content. Yes,
Okay.
the depth in content. It's easy to be replaced when what you know can easily be fetched. It's easy to be replaced when what you know can easily be found anywhere.
Mm.
Sometimes your uniqueness comes by going a bit deeper. It
Mm.
means that you must go to find the learn from the grays, those who have gone, who have learned, who have gone. You study the material, study and gather your own thoughts and your perspective on certain subject matter. So for me, the first thing that happened with coming to LU was deeply a deep immersion into how I saw leadership to be a bit of a micro thing, and I'm seeing that micro thing having to play in the macro level. How as small as little as the definition of leadership, what it is, can mean when you are in the corridors of power, when you are in the places of impact making. I saw that when I came to LU.
Mm.
Secondly, there is a culture shift that must happen. One of the things that hit me when I came here was an entire overhaul of the culture. How understanding diversity, managing diversity, finding your place in the midst of that diversity, finding a challenge in that diversity and looking for ways that you can solve those challenges, finding a way to not just be somebody who is available, but somebody who is a major player. That's culture. It happens when you understand culture, when you are seeing that how things are being run in your primary country is not the way things are run here. For instance, if you are walking at the crossroad and you see those crossroad signs, there is nobody born of a woman who in this Rwanda will drive when somebody is walking that crossing sign. Nobody. No,
I
they
I
have.
know.
Yeah.
I know some countries where the crossroad signs are invitation to step on the pedal and drive faster.
It is an absolute shift. You can't say that you are designed to be a global person, a global, and
Mm.
not be able to once in a while or once in a lifetime be able to understand what the global space looks like, what rules of engagement look like, this different from your own environment where you came from. If
No.
I were driving in Nigeria, then the average person who drives would not even obey some of these signs. But you see a place where everybody is on halt until people pass, including even if it's a child, everybody stands still. No trashes on the road. You are given or taught responsibilities through policies that you must be able to ensure that everything around you is neat. So for me, it was first a depth immersion. Secondly, was a culture shift, and number three, which is the most important thing for me, has been it has served. LU has served as a platform that grants you access to people and relationships and networks and opportunities. The kind of liftings that we have seen on the threshold of being in this place. I look back at 2023 and thank God that He made me come here. It wasn't an easy shift, it wasn't an easy transitioning, but it happened, and I see afterwards now that it was the move that increased my value. It was the
Mm.
move that granted me great access to great opportunities, great people. Yeah,
Mm.
that's what it was for me. That's been my
But,
experience of.
but let me ask you a question, right?
Absolutely.
There was something that you said that just got my attention. So, in your experience and in your thinking, would you say that true leadership is more which has a greater effect? I'm just troubleshooting with this question, right? Which has a greater effect? Is it positioning by policies, in other words, leadership being built on systems, or leadership being built on individualism? Which
Mm,
do you think has a greater effect on society, or do they work hand in hand? Let me have your thoughts. And I know why I'm asking this, right? So let this
absolutely.
serve as an opening question of that. Let's go ahead.
So let me come this way. There are many. I have witnessed many change makers who come from a very personal, individualistic approach. It helps, but the factor that we don't really focus on is the time frame for this. There are also times where I've seen policies enacted, but not there has been no bearing on the individual development aspect. And so
Mm,
my perspective over time in the past 2 years has been that if you must obtain optimum or optimal results in transformation, policy must go hand in hand with individual development. Policy must, because nothing frustrates your individual effort like policy. The
mm,
presence or lack of absolute quality policy advocated for the betterment of the people will definitely in every time, in every space, in every region, grant 3 times impact, 3 times reach, 3 times solutions to people in a particular nation or space. So my answer is that for balance, they must go hand in hand. Absolutely.
okay, okay, okay. That's interesting enough. We'll come back to that in a bit. But there's something else I wanted to also pick out of what you said, or maybe further from what you said, and,
Yeah.
and that's in the area of, let's recognize that first of all, we're in an ever dynamic. I don't think the world has ever experienced as much fluidity as it does now. I don't think the world has ever experienced as much change as it's doing now. And it's not just that the world hasn't experienced change, it's that the world is experiencing change in a very fast way. And yet, in that fast way, in that same world that we're all in, with all the inconsistencies, with all the, as we call it, the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity, right? Um, we're still expected to lead. What does leadership really look like these days, in your own view, Paul?
Hmm. What does leadership really look like in these days? Any let me come from a personal dimension, and then we get to where I have to go do a proper landing. And I
Mm,
hope that you guys are in for a treat tonight. When I studied the conversation tonight, the theme reimagining leadership. First off, for me, as a first point, is that leadership anybody who want to lead effectively in distance must there is a lot of reimagination that must happen.
mm,
It means a retraining of self. It means a reskilling. It means you must be. This is not the time where you want to be rigid, but you must be focused in your understanding. Rigidity and focus are not the same thing. I'll say it again. Rigidity and focus are not the same thing. Encapsulated in focus is the space, the allotment for flexibility, for adjustment. But in
mm,
rigidity has a so much focus, so much an extreme focus, if I must say. So to be a leader in these changing times, to be a leader in this kind of times where Africa is currently boiling at different points, the west, the east, the central, everywhere is just boiling. It would be important for you as a leader to reorganize what your understanding and perception of leadership is, despite or different from what your upbringing was. The
mm,
average African space, the average African leader is designed to antagonize collaboration and promote self. It has been, if you study this on the, I don't want to cause too much trouble, but if you are studying all 54 leaders of Africa, it should give you, just go and do your study, you give you what I'm saying completely. African
You
leaders
know,
who,
you know, Paul. Let me interject you there again. I gave a warning earlier. I gave a warning. So the last thing I want to hear you say is you don't want to cause trouble because this is supposed to be a very disruptive conversation. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm saying this. And I need everybody to listen up. Listen, I think the biggest bane or part of the issues or some of the biggest issues that we have on this continent, Africa, is that we give the right names to the wrong things. So listen, we need to begin to be a generation of people that have reset our thoughts. Reset
completely,
our thought means that our levels of consideration and our view of the things that we are considering have significantly changed, which then reflects in the things that we say and in what we do and how we do what we do. Now, where am I going to with this? I think that as a people, scratch that. I know that as a people, we have to come to the place of see. So if you are not showing what we know, understand, what
the
is
outcome.
universally and globally acceptable as
Mm,
leadership, then we cannot call you a leader just because you're in a position. So let's stop saying, if you look across African leaders, if they are leaders, fine, all well and good. If they are not, then we can simply give them monikers like the African ruler. There's a word such as that, and it has meaning, and it's a good fit, and it's appropriate, and so that people that are really leading are not in the same, are not categorized with people just because we are used to certain tags and certain labels, and we become as a people too lazy to be able to appropriately apply the right labels to the right
What?
tags. That's on one
Absolutely.
side. Hold that in one hand, Paul. Hold that in one hand. On the other hand, let me also quickly speak to something that you were saying. Then I'll leave you to fire on. Now, one of the things that I recognize that every leader, whether you're in business, whether you're in the faith, whether you're in socialpreneurship, whatever area it is that you're in, one of the things that I recognize and that I know is that every leader must have two prongs by which they operate. Number one speaks of anchorage, and number two speaks of adaptability. And that's what you were saying. You must be flexible but not rigid. You must be focused rather but not rigid. Yeah, and this is where anchorage and adaptability comes in. So what I'm
Absolutely.
gonna and so anchorage are the things that you're firm on, the things that hold you down, the things that you believe, the things that do not shift regardless of what the circumstance of the situation is, regardless of where you are, whether you are in Abuja, you're in Port Harcourt, you're in Akwa Ibom, you're in Enugu, you are in Sahel, you are in Rwanda, Kigali, you are in Pretoria, South Africa, Ontario, Canada. Those things remain the same. However, there must be in the place of execution and the place of driving impact. You must be able to have levels of flexibility, all right, which is an outcome of adaptability that allows you to be able to maximize the times and seasons that you're in. Every season is meant to go through three things. Number one, identify. Number two, utilize. Number three, maximize. Your ability to adapt, right? Does without losing your anchorage is what delivers that to you as a leader. Now, why am I saying all of this? Because you're about to have an assignment and a homework, Paul. So, to make it easy for our audience now, in line with what you were saying, which I concur with absolutely, can we speak to the things that people need to have as anchor? It doesn't change. And then
Absolutely.
in this ever changing world, can we now begin to also speak to, if we can itemize them, that would be great. Can you also speak to the things that make for adaptability so that people know? Because that's how, Paul, if you ask me, and you have asked me by virtue of being here, right? That's how you are able to get people to understand the difference between being focused and being rigid, and why they're not the same, and why the outcome and the results of both of them are significantly varied and significantly different. Paul, I yield the mic to you. Fire.
This is a very, very weighty assignment. So let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. I will give you one, two, three, four. I'll give you
Yeah.
four things
Right.
that would answer all questions on multiple levels. You would
Fantastic.
need to be very attentive to understand what I'm saying. For leadership
Fantastic.
to be exceptional leadership, for leadership to be impeccable in these times, four things. Number one, you must be a person of depth. Your focus should be depth. I'm coming. Don't worry. Don't bother. I'm not about to give you to sell you rubbish. I've been trained by AU, so don't worry. I'll give you good food. I'll give you good food.
Oh,
Your focus
tell
should be
them
on
you're
depth.
coming. Tell them you're here. Tell them.
Your focus should be on depth. And when we speak about depth in leadership, you are speaking about the mastery of your craft. It is incompetent as a leader to say that you have assumed the stance of leadership and then there is no mastery of your craft. Leadership is what it is because you are able to proffer solutions. You are able to proffer order. There is a level of order that is being ushered into your space, into wherever it is that you find yourself when you have been a master of your craft. We don't need children who don't know leadership. We don't. When I mean children, I'm not talking about age-wise. I'm speaking of people who think like children in leadership. No, leadership must work. It is in partnership with depth, mastery of craft. You look all through the African space, you look all through your community, your society, where you currently are now. You will find out that the current crisis that we are currently in is because there is so much a deficiency of leaders who have mastered the art of leadership, the art and the act of leadership. It is a craft that must be studied. You don't just tell me that you wake up tomorrow and because I have charisma, I'm a leader. No, you will be a waste of person. You have to ensure that you've done thorough work of development into that space of leadership. When we are speaking about leaders now, we're not talking about people who are only frontline leaders. The fact that you woke up this morning and that you've not obtained anything all through the day says that something is wrong about your leadership. Before we now begin to go into other aspects of other things with leadership. So for me, the first thing again is that you must understand or be a person of depth. Number two, you must be in these days and times, you must be a person of width. Now, your focus should be on depth, but you cannot stay rigid on depth. The presence of depth and the absence of width, width, the absence of width in leadership will make you bankrupt in a very, very crucial manner. So when we speak of width, we are talking about the breadth of your reach and relationships. I have friends like John Adam. If I need to do anything, I just need to call John Adam. I need this to be done. I need your involvement on this. And I've not only grown or gotten focus in depth. I have also shown you that there is also focus in width. It means that Bible says categorically that the children are like arrows in the quiver of a parent. For instance, for a leader, your width, width. Come on, people, listen to me. Your width will be as arrows inside the quiver. A leader who is poor in relationships will struggle to do certain things. There's what we call the labor of the fool. There's what we call the labor of a fool, the labor of an ignorant man, because you are doing too much that you can substitute with relationships to help to balance. So when you see an African president step today and then find it difficult to do exchange trade with fellow African leaders, yet eager to do foreign trades with those who are from the West, is a problem. It's a problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And before you go ahead, I just want to say that that message is proudly endorsed by AU. All right. Proudly so. Proudly so. Something that you said that I'm jumping on immediately. And I see John Edem here. John, it's great to have you here as well. All right. Something that you said, Paul, that I'm jumping on immediately is this. Is that, look, listen, I've always maintained that the greatest resource that God gave to humanity is relationship. Everything and anything that you will do, the way by which, the channel by which you'll be able to fulfill your assignments is through the instrumentality and the platform of relationship. Your inability to be able to manage relationships is your inability to be able to manage the resource that is required for you to fulfill assignments. There's no doubt about that. So it's not a self thing, because if, like a number of people will say leadership is primarily about influence, and there is a 99.9% truth to that. Yes, it's about influence, but how do you influence? How do you influence without, and if you take the word relationship out, let's even give it a bigger picture. How do you influence without the concept of an ecosystem? What is an ecosystem? An intermingling of people with diverse views coming into an alignment around a common cause. Right? But for that to happen, Paul, you have to be able to deploy levels of relationships that go way outside you and is well able to deliver. So the relationship in itself, leaders recognize that everything that they have is a resource. And resource must be used, number one, effectively, number two, efficiently. So circling back to what you were talking about, Paul, it's difficult to understand how people think they can in any way deliver true leadership absent of relationships. I just wanted to chip that in. I promise I won't jump in as much going forward. I'm sorry, that's not even going to happen. So scratch it. But just go ahead before I jump back in. All right.
So that we are still on page, right? So that we are still together. Don't forget, we are speaking about things that serve as anchors. Don't forget.
Absolutely.
We're speaking about things that serve as anchors, so that you know what to hold dear and then what not to leave out. So we were speaking again earlier with regards to the presence of focus and the difference between focus and rigidity. In these days and in these times, if you are a rigid leader, there will be a problem. So we are trying to guide your perspective. We'll have time for questions and answers, I believe, so you can ask questions as much as you want. But we want to be able to guide your perspective. This is called reimagining leadership. So we want to guide your perspectives. We want to guide
Mm,
your thought process on what leadership should be in these days and in this time. We said there has to be the presence of depth at this very essence, at this really basic point or essential aspect. Leadership or leaders must have depth, mastery of content, mastery of craft. We speak again largely with regards to width, which has a lot to do with the breadth of reach, relationships, an ecosystem, a community. If you see, when we speak about leadership, we are speaking about true leadership. If it's not true leadership, we will not go through all this stress. We are trying to build what the society really lacks. Number three that I want to give to you that must be an anchor for you, something you should not excuse for anything, is that there must be the presence of height. This should come first, but I intentionally brought it at this point. The presence of height. Leaders must be tall. Don't worry, I'm not
mm,
speaking about you. I'm not speaking about you who is average height. This is about height in vision. A man cannot surmount a wall, cannot go over a wall that his eyes has not seen beyond. Scripture says that by my God I have run through a troop, and by my God I have leaped over a wall. Because in the makeup of God's design system, He ensures that you see beyond where that wall has met you. Leaders who see walls and stop at walls you become void of inspiration. Inspiration doubles when they see that you've seen too many walls, yet you've always gone above them because you've seen beyond them. Leaders must be tall in vision. You must be able to see this, describe to people, despite these changing times, this is what our focal point is. Despite the presence of COVID or the post-COVID era, this is what our core vision is. Do we tweak it? Yes. Do we adjust it? Yes. But do we completely roll out its essence? No. Leaders must know how to. Your vision sometimes can start sometimes without clarity at some point. Along the line, there is that perfectionism that comes with that vision. So, leaders, for those of you who are leaders here, understand the big conversation is largely going to be about what you've seen. It's what you've seen that tells how you talk, that tells what you
Let me
do,
ask
that
you a question.
how
Let
you
me ask
resist.
you a question. Let me ask you a
Yeah,
question. I promise I wasn't going to jump in, but I
feel
was just
free.
joking when I said that, right? So let me just ask a question. Something again that you said that I want to highlight.
Absolutely.
Does vision change or does our understand? Because you were talking about clarity, and God knows I have a whole lot to say about clarity, yeah. But so my question is this, right? Which is supposed to help highlight further buttress what you were saying. Does
Mm.
vision change or does our understanding of the vision change? Um, do you what is meant to be your vision? Is it there? Or what changes? Is it your understanding, in other words, your clarity, how well you see it? Is that
Mm.
what changes as you grow further, as you take the walk, as you go deeper in the process, as you learn, unlearn, and relearn, as you keep going, as you learn what to do and learn what not to do, then you get deeper understanding of vision. So the do visions really change, Paul? Do you think they do?
This is my opinion, and this is to the level at which I have grown, studied, and learned. Right?
Mm.
It is my perception that vision is like an onions. At
Mm.
some point, at some point, what you see is the full-fledged thing. As you progress and as you do self-introspection, as you edit, as you audit with time, it becomes clearer. One layer opens after the other. Can
Right.
transitions happen in a particular vision? Yes, but it must be structured. It must be. It can't. You just can't wake up and say it's not working. Why is it not working? If you want to transition, so there are deeper clarities that come with following vision. Yes, yes. But then there is also there are some rare cases where there has to be a transitioning. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying now? So for me, vision gets clearer with time. Things with that with the abundance of clarity that comes per time, there is definitely going to be an auditing, a change sometimes, an adjustment. I won't want to say change now, but an adjustment, something you saw. The bane of focus both focus and rigidity have that bane, but the bane of focus is that there are many blind sides.
Oh yeah.
And as you go deeper and deeper in vision, certain things come up, certain things unfold, and it happens that clarity comes in as you progress. And so that for me is my response to the question. Absolutely.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I just wanted to also just, help push along the narrative, what you said, because your answer was going to, again, strengthen what you said and throw
Absolutely.
more light on it. Because, there's a school of thought that says that you have one vision, but you have many assignments,
Mm,
right? You have one vision, but you have multiple assignments. And every assignment it reveals a deeper part of the vision into you.
absolutely.
Again, I've said for many years, and I've maintained that the clarity of your vision is what energizes you to deploy your mission. The clarity of your vision is what allows you to be able to run faster, run more confidently, to be able to go all out and all of that. So, in a way, what we understand of our vision is absolutely, absolutely important because it will give to how we go about our assignments as leaders. It will give to what we consider as important in our assignments, in our deployments as leaders. It will also speak to our ability to be able to, because I believe that, listen, Paul, let me say this very quickly. I believe that the anchor between where we are and where we ought to be in every time situation is understanding.
Absolutely.
And the less we understand, the more we give energy to negativity, to despair, to fear, to despondency, to failure. And you do know that as a man thinketh in his heart,
So is he.
so is he. And so when we find ourselves pondering, considering, taking in full measure, when we let the how do I put it down? When we let the darkness of today blot out the light of tomorrow, when we focus on the now rather than the reason why, right? Then you find out you're in a situation where um, you don't realize what you need to do to be able to keep the vision going and to sustain the
Mm,
vision. Now, why did I say all of this? Because I also wanted to second the fact that the level of clarity, in other words, the level of seeing, in other words, the level of understanding of what your
absolutely.
vision is, will in many regards determine your experience here on earth. Absolutely. I believe that with all of my heart. All of my heart. All of my heart. But let's move on to something. So we're talking about leaders having um, width. We're talking about
Yeah.
leaders having,
Depth, width, height.
and we're talking about leaders having height. So there's one more then, because you said four.
Yes. And for me, this one is the very, very important part. And I will cause trouble because I've been given permission to give that trouble.
Oh, please
The
go ahead.
last one, which is very important for me, is time.
Hmm.
Time.
Hmm.
You leap backwards when you have no knowledge of time. It's
Hmm.
possible to make certain actions, and because you are ignorant that time never forgets, time would give you time gives you the understanding of sustainability measures and plans, as well as it gives you the thought patterns for legacy. So there are certain things that you do in time that take your leadership backwards. Your refusal to want to see that there is a trend that is happening here. The best thing that leaders know, trends are like waves in leadership. Every leader must know how to be able to ride on that wave. How you manage those waves that come can decide if it swallows your organization, yourself, your people, those who look up to you, and becomes an issue if you're unable to do so. Key aspect on time. If you are given 4 years for Christ's sake to do a particular assignment, there is a thing that time must teach you. Time must teach you that to be able to get into these people's heart, for instance, that you must do certain things that truly, truly translate to transformation. So that at the end of the fourth year, you're not like somebody else who is beginning to ask for 15 more years. I'm beginning to run around to seek for more time, more this, more that. There, please.
Again, I think if you ask me, I think there's a bit of an illusion there. So there's always the illusion of participation. right? I was having a session with some people yesterday. I was telling them about the principle of predator and prey, and you will understand why I say this when I'm done with regards to leadership. So in every situation that we're in, you have a predator, you have a prey, but in between, that's not my focus. But in between, there's something called the illusion of participation. And I think there's an illusion that we have that when people are looking for more time, they're looking for more time because they now want to do or bring about transformation. Question is, do they even know? Do we not realize that we have a leadership crisis in Africa? Do we not realize that we have a leadership crisis in the business space? Do we not realize that we have individualistic leadership crisis? So why do we keep expecting people? Why do we assume that they're looking for more time because they now finally want to deliver transformation? Do they know what transformation looks like? So let's cause some trouble tonight. Do they know what transformation looks like? We're talking about leadership, and the question that I always will ask is, what you know, and that's what I ask you. What do you think leadership? What do you think your leadership? You know, and I say this to a lot of CEOs. I say this to a lot of people in government. I've had conversations with a number of people that you and I know that are running for office, and I said, what do you think leadership looks like? What will your leadership look like? And many times, in some cases, yes, I've gotten very good response. But then again, some of the responses, I guess, suggest to me that people don't even understand what transformation will look like. And isn't it funny, Paul? Isn't it funny that in a continent where you have so many low-hanging fruits, where the ability to have impact is truly, if you ask me, the least difficult thing. In a continent where we celebrate people for doing what they should do, and we have a special recognition for them for being mediocre. In a continent where over the years that have gone by, the greater vast majority have come to a place of simply being, you know, they've been so subdued that their expectations are at best watery, not out there. So what they get, in fact, when they get whatever they get, good or bad, they are happy that they got. So, and yet you will think that maybe one of the reasons why there's this simile, and permit me if I could find a more nicer or appropriate word, I will. Why there's so much lethargy or backwardness will be because, you know what, light shines brightest against the backdrop of darkness. So where you have had so much regression, will impact and transformation not be easily seen or easily felt. So it brings you to another level of thoughts whereby you now find out that these so-called leaders, and have admonished us like like Apostle Paul, I have admonished us that we learn to label people appropriately. And so it comes to the fact that we now have people that should actually be judged a little bit more harshly than perhaps we are right now. Because I have never, the same way that it is easy to solve the problems of a continent and make so much money out of it, I have never seen where it is so easy to actually solve basic problems that will have such huge impact, and your so-called leaders, again, have not. So what exactly is, you know, let's talk Pan-African right now, Paul. What exactly does leadership look like? And I'm not going to sit here or have you sit there in Rwanda and feel like, well, it's all doom and gloom. Because we do have a few shining stars. My question always is, why are the shining stars not shining bright enough? Why do we have monthly stories about the ones that are about the dead stars or the black stars? And I'm not referring to Ghana, by the way. Yeah. Black stars, get it? Black stars of Ghana, right? Paul, you just talk. I'm getting ahead of a lot of things right now. Let me just yield the microphone.
So something I want to say just to add to what you just said, especially the other part. And
Mm.
I need to say this so that young leaders understand it effectively. The moment you think, you believe, it is time to begin to voice out. Listen to me. Rwanda is where it is now because they as well as Burkina Faso and Mali have decided to own their story and to voice their story. It is important that you in whatever thing that you're doing, don't allow people who have little or no value to now in turn be louder than somebody who has so much to offer to your
Mm.
world. I sat in a meeting in 2023, November 18th or so, with His Excellency Dauda Lawal, current governor of Zamfara State.
Right.
And I asked him a question and I said, what triggered you to run for office? Why did you run for office? And he said, it is an abnormality to allow ignorant people lead those who are smart, who know what to do. It means that you must be able to own your story, own your story, let it be heard. Don't be quiet. Nigeria, for instance, had gone through a very dark time many times, and I believe that sometimes it begins because nobody is taking cognizance of these things and is putting these stories out to both train people to be able to avert certain things that happen. So constantly,
Right.
almost every 10 years, you are seeing certain same patterns come up: mass this, mass that, mass this. But Rwanda, it happened once. Resilience came into play, courage came into play, and proactive, future-centric leadership approach came into play. And so you see that despite what Rwanda went through, every year there's a reminder that makes people to know this is what has gone into for this peace to stay. This is what we
Mm.
must do. So they tell their story. You must be the one responsible for telling your own story. I don't even know if that makes sense, but you should. To anybody who wants to be
Oh, it
heard
does.
in this
It does.
space.
It does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense because there's the concept of transformation of narrative, and narratives are very
Mm,
powerful. Narratives are powerful because it's like, yes, it's like a narrative is like a catalyst, and every time there's a narrative, it opens up the possibilities in the mind of people, and
mm,
every time there's a negative narrative, it deters the people. Which is why I say to people many times that if you're called to the place of business, you have to do everything that you can to succeed. And why is this
absolutely.
important? Because if you fail at it, and Paul, you've heard me say this before, if you fail at it, there's somebody whose first, middle, and last name you don't know that's going to look at you and say, if Paul couldn't make it, why should I try?
Mm,
And that's a big responsibility you don't want to take on,
okay. Yeah.
right? So the idea of having the right kind of narrative, I think it's something that
Very important.
is absolutely important. Every nation, every of the 54, all right, African 54 should own their story, own their narrative, because that's really how you begin to fix the anomalies that you have within your system,
Mm,
right? You don't turn out the light of a room outside of the room, so you don't turn off the problems of a nation outside of that nation. The answer is embedded in it. You may get levels of collaboration and support from other nations, but until you take responsibility, until
mm,
you accept, until you believe that, until you accept that the situations are truly what they want, rather than pushing them towards political ponderings and all of that, until you
mm,
believe that you have what it takes as a people to arise and sort it, until the responsibility part, you commit to it, you will never deliver a nation, an entity, a business, an
mm.
initiative, a project of your dreams. It will never happen.
Let me
It
add
will
something
never
here.
happen. Yeah,
Let
go
me let
ahead.
me add something. Let me add something. I think it's necessary for me to add, just so that we help somebody's perspective on leadership. When we speak about leading in recent times, how do I say this now? Oh God of A, you help me. How do we say this now? It is important that when we mention leadership, dear emerging leaders, when we mention leadership, I need you to see leadership in these days and times from a listening practice and not just a speaking one. I think I have to really
Say
really
that
say it
again.
again.
Say that again. Say that again. Somebody needs to
When
hear that again. Say it again.
when we are speaking about leadership in this changing time, in this fast evolving time, we are speaking about leadership in these days and these times. Leadership that would make sense, leadership that would be empathy driven, will be leadership that comes from a listening perspective and practice, not just a speaking one. When we have leaders, and we elect leaders, or we appoint leaders, or we see the rise of many seemingly leaders, you hear a lot of people speak and speak and speak and speak. No, effective speaking is done from a place of effective listening. You must know to listen to the pain of the people. You must know to listen to hear where the gap is. Africa has a couple of three gaps. I don't have time, so I won't say that. I won't dwell on that. But Africa has a couple of gaps. You must listen and then see those gaps and approach your leadership transformation from that standpoint, and not just a. We have too many motivational speaking leaders. We have to, and this is no insult to anybody who is a leader. No, no, no. We are supposed to speak, yes. But many people focus their energy on the speaking part and forget the listening. They forget the becoming part of. There's a thing that you used to say those times. And mentions becoming, and another person I heard that happen that deal a lot with that was Pastor Morgan Ekanem. Talk a lot about becoming. There is the listening part, there's becoming part, and then there is the speaking as the last part. I draw your attention, dear young leaders of my generation, to ensure that if you are going to make impact in your organization, listen more to what the problems are. Listen, don't think. This speaking comes from a standpoint of you are overrating yourself. You are coming with a hero complex. We don't need an extreme hero complex leader. No, no. Come and listen. Don't just come as a hero. Come with the collective part. Thank you. I
You
think I
know,
overshot my
you
time.
know, Paul. I think there's so much to be said. As you were talking, one of the things that came to my mind is this. Even when the concept of listening is not, and Paul is not necessarily, listen, everyone, Paul is not necessarily talking about your ear gates. He's not talking
Yeah.
about your ears. It's every platform or channel you use to receive.
Observation.
Think about it this way. One of the last things that you need to ever do is to speak, because
Mm,
speaking is a channel of positioning. Listen to this: positioning the process analyzed data that you have
mm,
in a framework that delivers an impact. So that three things happen when you speak. I was just talking about this yesterday. Three things happen when you speak. Number one, you give information. And that's critical. Now I'm tying in what Paul has said as a leader. Number one, you give information. Where do you get your information from? From what you receive.
mm,
Listening is the gateway to your receiving. So
mm,
if you're not listening, if you're not studying, if you're not processing, if you're not contemplating, if you're not meditating, if you're not turning things over in your head, if you don't open up your tentacles to be able to receive what is around you, information, process, light, relationships, and all of that, then you don't have what to say. You only qualify to speak based on what you've received. Yeah, and you probably have heard this in your time, that you can't give what you don't have. You have what you receive.
mm,
So if you don't receive, or there's something mitigating your receiving, or something impeding your receiving, or something inhibiting your receiving, then you have mitigated resources to give. So that's the first thing that happens when we speak as leaders. The second thing that happens is that we inspire, and that's where you must have the gifts of the gab. You must have some measure of charisma. You must able to. Your inspiration comes not by the fluency of your speech. That's a part of it. Your inspiration comes by your ability to connect the information that you have to the need of the people
people.
that you're speaking to.
Mm,
Inspiration when you get me to see myself in what you're saying, so that I am already right. Like I said, the three things that you must do: you must connect with the heart, you must develop the head, and then the people will give you their hand. And there are many ways you can interpret that, but I know that we're all good enough to get that. And then when you're done with inspiration, the third thing that you must do, which is the final one, is that you must instruct. So we have now so-called, again, Paul, you still run guilty of calling people that shouldn't be leaders. And you're still running guilty. I pray for a paradigm shift mentally for you after this meeting. I pray. Let's call them what they are. Because listen, as long as we keep referring to them as leaders, they're comfortable. So, good or bad, I'm still a leader. They will still refer to me as leader. Whatever they say, that leader was, but after all, I'm a leader. No, sir, you're not. No, ma, you're not. You're a ruler, you're a despot, you are, I don't know what you are whatever it is that you are not very successful at it, and it's costing us as a people too much. So now back to what I was saying about listening. The more that we're able to receive, the more that we're able to see, the more that we're able to take in, the more that we're able to hear, or whatever way it is that you receive, the more you will able to. Your ability to now take receive, to now analyze what you received, ignites a process of doing. So that by the time that you are speaking, you're not coming from a place of knowing, you're coming from a place of being. That's why becoming is not an act.
Mm,
Becoming of the heart.
mm,
Remember, as a man thinketh, so is he. So there's already an identity there that speaks of not just a doing, it speaks of a being.
mm,
Can we stop having actors
mm,
in the places of influence of leadership? Can we start having leaders that have become? Can we stop? Because actors will act scripts, but when the lights go off, there's something else. They revert to whatever it is that they are. So they come out for campaigns every 4 years or whatever number of years it is, wherever you are at in the world. And they do all of that acting. And then when they feel no longer to have an illusion of accountability to the people, then you begin to see just who they are. That's not what leadership is. And even if you gave us 3 more hours, we still will not be done with this. And I just looked at my time. It's a few minutes past the top of the hour. So,
yeah.
guys, we've got to go. We've got to go. But I have a final question for Paul, and then I'm going to come to the comment section and read out some of your comments and interact with you before we finally call it a day. All right? Hold on. So, Paul, final question for you. And I struggle to be able to decide on what the final question on tonight will be for you. But anyway, here it is. Final question is, what is the one leadership principle, right? Or personal conviction, all right, I like that one, or personal conviction that you believe will remain relevant regardless of whatever changes may happen in the world,
Building
regardless
people.
of where you are, regardless of what happens. What's that one leadership principle that you believe strongly with the whole of your heart will remain relevant?
For me, this is more like a golden rule for me. This is like a golden rule, and it remains. If it is leadership, build people. Africa is going to be having quite a lot of numbers, and these are for those of you who are going to be going to business. Think Africa. We are high in numbers, we are high in resources, we are high in everything. So for me, it's going to be people. It matters what you do or how you leverage or how you work with people to produce results for them and for you. I didn't say for you only as leader, for
Mm,
you and for them. The biggest trade secret I can ever give to anybody, to put together or compress 10 years of labor into 1 year that produces maximum results for you, optimal results. See, get your way with people.
mm,
Genuinely, the longest route to go is to manipulate people. The labor factor required to manipulate people is worse than the energy just required to be genuinely interested in people.
absolutely.
it it
Absolutely.
it matters to you that you've when you show up on the scene as a leader. First thing I ask my people to do is ask, How are you guys doing? Before you bring about the vision, the what is this, the what is that, ask how are you doing? How did it go for you before? This thing you talked about has it been solved? How can I come in to solve that? I have done this for every team I've led, for every project I have led, and many times I just jele jele. Sorry, this is a global platform, so I just relax. I just relax and see how I care for people, they care for the work. It is if they're not caring for the work, there's something that is wrong. And most times, 60% of the time, it's about something you've not won with them. That's how I want to close off tonight.
And I think that's amazing. That's amazing, and that ties in absolutely with connecting with the heart, building and developing the head, and they will yield their hands to you. So, if I want to put that in the context of the teams, as you said, when you connect with the hearts of people, show them how you really care about them, show them how. Because listen, for everyone to thrive, they must find their vision in your vision, and so your duty as a leader is to be able to communicate your vision to them in a way that showcases the efficacy or the compatibility of their own vision. Once you're able to do that, because systems work in systems, and once you're able to connect with that and show how much you care about them, how much you're willing to give to them to build them up, and show them that you're interested in how they become, and then equip them, because it really makes no sense to care about people and not equip them. You've got to equip them with the right mentality, equip them with the right resources, equip them with the right exposures, equip them with the right opportunities. And when you do that, Paul, they will give you their hands, and that's their time, that's their productivity, that's their creativity. They will move from being task accomplishers to being co creators with you.
Mm,
They will move from people that just recruit to being idea hubs and dispensers, and idea, not just idea retailers, but idea synthesizers. There will be all of that for you because you, first of all, took care of their heart, you connected with their heart, you developed and built their head, and then they, from the goodness of their heart, now having become, will yield their hands to you. And I think that's an amazing thing. So it speaks to the heart of relationship as a core principle for leadership, regardless of where you are in the world, regardless of the changing times, regardless of all of that. Paul, you've done an amazing job tonight, and it's always been great having conversations with you. But I am tempted to say this has been the best conversation thus far. I mean, I know we've had many great conversations, but I have truly had a fantastic and amazing time
mm.
sharing with you. Paul, let's go to the comment section and see what people are doing. All right, so I'm just going to be calling out the names randomly. I see a better luck David. That's amazing. I like the way your name comes out. Better luck David. All right, and better luck says, okay, better luck is basically recorded. It says connect with the heart, yes. Develop the brain, yes, and then they will give you their hands. Absolutely, absolutely. There was a question I saw earlier. I'm going to yield that question to Paul
Yeah.
and then just make my contribution. I'm trying to see where the question is. Okay, so David Raymond Ruby. All right, David Raymond Ruby. Okay, he said, "Hey Ruby, that's you." He said, "A leader who has a problem with relationships will suffer expansion, and the ability to, let me pull that question up so that we can look at it together." All right.
Okay.
So it says, a leader who has a problem with relationships will suffer expansion and the ability to fulfill his assignment as a leader.
Leader.
So now I know both of us had conversations around that. So I'm going to yield the mic to you, Paul, for
Absolutely.
about a
Yeah.
minute or two. Please do provide a response to this.
Mm. Leadership is not supposed to remain with you. Leaders are always on a journey of taking people from point A to point B. That point B is an expansion. That the midway between point A and point B is a journey. So a leader who is fixated on themselves is naturally relationship averse. And as long as your relationship advance, you will not be able to manage or lead people or inspire people to be able to produce certain kinds of results for themselves and for the organization or for the reason for which they came together. It now the onus now is upon you as the leader to be able to, as you spread in width, so also does your influence spread. Now
Mm.
you lead from a standpoint of an individualistic point, so therefore you call for one and 10,000 will show up. Why? Because you've expanded your reach of impact and inspiration from one person who has his community, his tribe, his people, and they all show up when you call them. If Pastor Morgan needs 100 people, for instance, he knows he can just call Paul, and I will call my people. Who else again? If Saitin book here in Canada and says he needs my people, he just needs to call me. I will call them. If AU, of course, needs my people, he just calls me. Why? These leaders have understood the rule of leading individualistically. They've spread in their reach, and so therefore their expansion is wider. This is what we mean when we say that a leader who has a problem with relationships will suffer expansion. Nobody wants to speak up for you or wants to ask others to come follow you, because sometimes your influence increases as people say, "No, I trust this leader." So if you failed with one and made a consistent, very joyous habit of failing with many ones, you would not have the hundreds. It's a simple rule of life. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, I thought I was going to chip in something, but no, I'm not. I think you've just done great justice to answering that question. I mean, there's strength in having communities, there's strength in carrying people, there's strength in, building. Like I say all the time, you have the experiences of the past, you have the occurrence of now, and the promise of the future. And all of that is embedded in how you've been able to deal with people, relate with people, understanding and seeing them as resources that you cannot toy with. So, Paul, you've done an amazing job responding to that. So, on that note, we really have to shut down now, right? We'll be back next Sunday by 7 o'clock. Next Sunday, we're going to be having Dr. Edbert Abebe reaching us all the way from the United Kingdom, leadership experts and strategists. And we're going to be having conversations centering around adaptive leadership, especially in the public sector and in the organized private sector, both in the UK and the African continent. It promises to be an engaging conversation. We will be having other guests also on the 21st and on the 28th of the month of June. You don't want to miss every bit of this. So share the link whenever you see the flyers. Get your friends, get your frenemies, get your enemies, if you will. Get everybody that you know to be a part of this, because, like I always say, and Paul can attest to that, I mentor people for a very selfish reason. And the answer is always the same every time you ask, just as you did now. When you have more people thinking on the same wavelength with you, it's easier to transform the world. All right. So, Paul, parting shots from you, parting comments from you before we leave, and then we'll call it a day. So, let me have your final thoughts, Paul.
There are too many young people doing many things across the continent of Africa. My counsel is always don't glory in doing what everybody can do at the same level.
Mm.
My counsel is this: spend time to find what your uniqueness is. And for every room that life grants you access to, leverage your uniqueness to ensure that you don't stay a mediocre, you don't stay relegated at the back. My mentors will always say that favor is an element that stays on a person, so that if you are in a room of 100 people, it is easy to spot the person who has favor. A
Mm.
huge characteristic of favor is that you are unique as a person. Your uniqueness, positively unique. Let me not say that they are chaotic uniqueness, but your positive uniqueness, put in that room, in that space, in that craft that you do, through the mastery that you have gotten over the years, through the ways you've been able to manage and lead relationships and then inspire people. It becomes the very thing that keeps you on the demand. We've been told several times that reward comes where there is increasing demand. Largely there will be increasing reward. So ensure that you are constantly working on yourself and building your uniqueness to be able to become that light that Africa has been waiting for. Thank you very much. And thank you again, Sir AU.
Thank you, thank you, Paul. Thank you to everybody that's joined us. My final admonition to us is I think it's just time for us to begin to fulfill scripture, so that the entirety of creation is no longer awaiting our manifestation as leaders, but the entirety of creation will begin to experience our manifestation as as leaders. All right, so it's a good night from me here in Nigeria, a good night from Paul right there in Rwanda, and a good night to all of you across the world. Have a great time. See you next Sunday. Until then, let's keep on connected. All right, Paul, thank you again